Rush sale is now live. Get up to 60% off. Book now.
Okay, so I think we are live. Hello everyone. I hope everybody is doing fine. So we have with us Mr. Anurag Mundle, who is our UG topper, who has managed to qualify 3 of his UG level exams, that is IPMAT, JIPMAT, and NCHM JEE. So we would be having a conversation with him today. Before we begin, let me tell you what the session for today is going to be all about. In our today's session, Anurag is going to basically walk us through his journey preparing for these 3 competitive exams, what strategy he followed while he was preparing for these exams. How did he manage to strike a balance between his academic studies, his academic subjects, and then his preparation for these competitive exams. So today's session is going to be very engrossing and something that each one of you should pay keen attention to. And again, a very important thing, towards the end of the session, we would be taking up questions from the audience, right? So if you have any questions that you want me and Anurag to answer relating to these 3 exams, we both will be more than happy to help you out about it, right? So we'll be taking up the questions towards the end. So make sure that you're posting your questions in the comment box, right? And me and Anurag will be keeping a close eye on it. So we will be starting a conversation with him in a while. But before that, I would want to make you people familiar about IPM. There might be certain people who are hearing of the exam or the course for the very first time. So just to make you people more aware about the course, about the various entrance tests that it offers, so that we all are on the same page, I'll take another 7 minutes to cover it up, right? So to begin with, IPM, it stands for Integrated Program in Management. This course offers you a 5 years integrated course. That means your BBA plus MBA. You take up this course to get admissions into IIM Ranchi, Rohtak, Jammu, Bodh Gaya, and other non-IIMs as well, like TAPMI Bangalore and IIFT Kakinada, and other IIMs as well, right? So it is a UG level program, obviously. So it offers you 2 separate entrance tests to get enrolled in this course. First is IPMAT, the second is JIPMAT or JIPMAT. So talking about IPMAT first, it stands for Integrated Program in Management Aptitude Test. It is conducted separately by IIM Rohtak and IIM Indore. So the exam pattern for Rohtak and Indore is pretty much the same, with just one distinction, that in Rohtak, in the exam conducted by Rohtak, you have a subject called logical reasoning, which is not there with IIM Indore. Apart from that, while calculating your overall score, IIM Rohtak gives some weightage to your academic scores also. That means the scores that you have received in your 10th and 12th class, it also gets some weightage when calculating your overall score for IPMAT, which is not the case luckily with IIM Indore. They don't pay that much of attention to your previous academic scores. But if you're somebody who is planning to get enrolled in IPM, make sure that you're getting good scores in your 10th and 12th class, decent scores, right? Now talking about JIPMAT. JIPMAT stands for Joint Integrated Program in Management Aptitude Test. It is conducted by NTA, that is National Testing Agency, and you appear for this exam if you want to get into IIM Jammu and Bodh Gaya, right? So the paper pattern is pretty much the same for this as well, right? No major distinction. So these are the 2 entrance tests that you need to appear for before, or if you wish to get enrolled into the IPM course, right? So our genius here, Anurag, has managed to qualify all of these 3 exams. He's appeared for IIM Indore also and Rohtak also for IPMAT, and of course for JIPMAT exam also. So this is pretty much it that you need to know about IPM. If there is anything else that you want to know about the course, you can post your questions in the chat box and we'll have a look at it towards the end of the session. So now let's move to the man of the hour, our celebrity for today's BBKP. So hi Anurag, I welcome you to the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
How are you doing?
Ma'am, I'm fine. आप कैसे हो, ma'am?
I am doing good as well. Thank you so much for asking. So, Anurag, let's begin with your introduction. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
I'm Anurag Munle. I'm from Nagpur. My father's from the armed forces, and I have prepared for my JIPMAT, and I have been selected for IIM Bodhgaya, whose session is starting from 2nd September.
Okay, right. So, before appearing for, like, what were your plans after you completed your 12th standard? What were you planning for, basically?
I was planning to at least get into one IIM. So if I could not, then I would have pursued hotel management and then given CAT because CAT was always my end goal.
Right.
So I wanted to prepare for management only.
Okay, all right. So, while you were, how long ago, Anurag, did you start preparing for your IPM exam?
I started preparing since the midterms of my 11th.
Okay.
At first, I didn't know about this exam,
Mhm.
but I was in a coaching for my NDA in hotel management in CLAT, and there for my maths class, I used to share with IPM students
Mhm.
from whom I came to know about this course, and I was very much interested in this. And also, as the subjects were similar,
Mhm.
I started preparing for this course as well.
Okay, so you did appear for your NDA exam as well, am I right, Anurag?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What was the motivation for appearing for the NDA exam?
My father being in the armed forces, I wanted to give that. I had to give that exam at least once in my life, and
Mhm.
also for my IPM as well. It was a very good practice as I could appear in an exam in real time as mocks are nothing compared to the exams you actually give at your center.
Right,
So it gave me experience.
right. तो आपकी क्या strategy थी, Anurag? How did you balance your academics while you were preparing for these 3 competitive entrance tests?
As all my classes were online, I divided my schedule so that 70% of my time would be for my entrance exam and 30% of my time would be for my academics.
Right.
No matter which time I study for, because one day when I just was just hooked on studies, I used to study for like 8 to 12 hours, and for the other days I was like I couldn't even go more than 3 hours. So I
Right.
used to keep this percentage, I used to keep this ratio constant, but my time of studies was varied.
Okay, no, there are certain people जो competitive exams की तैयारी करते, they are of this, ideology that we need to study for at least 7 to 8 hours, to qualify a particular exam. So, do you think this norm is correct? Like this ideology that, especially people who are recently past the 12th standard, they have this agenda कि इतने घंटे तो पढ़ना ही पढ़ना है regularly. So, do you think there is a static amount of time period for which you should be, you should be dedicating towards your preparation?
What I did was I just took a piece of paper and I divided that in 3 columns. The first column would be the topics that I was the most comfortable with.
Okay.
So I could just keep revisiting those topics like in once in a week or something like that, and I would still have all my concepts clear. My second column would be those topics which I have done like once or twice, and it still needs revisiting for to clear my concepts and also some doubts I had to clear on those sessions. And my third column would be the topics which I haven't even touched once in my life. So first I used to prepare this list. The first column used to give me motivation to study more as I could properly see that my work is showing some results. And then I used to look at the weightage of the remaining topics and then decide my plan accordingly. So to answer your question, there is no static amount of time which you have to just give for your competitive exams. It's different for every person and the strategy you prepare. So for my strategy, I was like, if I have not touched one topic and its weightage is not that much. For example, there was vectors in my NDA. I haven't touched it since. I haven't even touched it yet. So I just left that topic and I only focused on the topics which I knew that I could master.
Okay.
So it took me less time than other people who were just trying to learn all the topics.
Yeah, so even I basically feel that everybody has a different way of learning, right? Some people can learn real quickly. For them, it takes, lesser amount of time. And for some people, it takes a larger amount of time. So I think basically a person needs to figure out for themselves what strategy works for them, right? It's not like if it worked for you, it might work for somebody else also, or it might as well, right? So it's basically everybody needs to figure out how it would work for them, and just keep on doing different permutation and combinations just to figure out what works for you exactly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you, Anurag, appeared for both IPMAT and JIPMAT, both of these exams, right? So what do you think was the major difference between these two exams? Apart from, of course, Rohtak, we're having logical reasoning. Apart from that, if I talk about the difficulty level, so what do you think was the major difference between these two exams, according to you?
Ma'am, this year the level of exams was comparatively easier to the previous years. So I would say that JIPMAT was like easy to moderate. All the moderate, like funny enough, all the moderate questions in my exams are those questions which were just dropped by the NTA because of wrong options given. So
Right.
it didn't even matter. So the easier questions were the ones which stayed in the exam. And for the Rohtak exam, like there were some easy questions as well, but 70% or 50 to 60% of the questions were on the moderate side. So which required some thinking or rote learning of some formulas, and also more steps were required than the questions of GIPMAT exams.
Okay, right. And if I talk about the sections or the three different sections in all of these three exams, which sections did you find to be most challenging, and which sections do you think were comparatively easier? Like you were thinking कि ये ज़्यादा मुश्किल आएगा, पर luckily आसान आ गया. What was that section?
As I'm one of those people who just straight away ignored their English and focused on maths and logical reasoning a lot. So for me, the English was relatively tougher, as as my preparation was not in par with the other candidates. But for me, logical reasoning was the easiest in both the exams, and then maths. But the toughest for me was English.
Toughest way was English. Okay. So now that we are talking about the strategy and the way that you prepared for your exam, I feel that there needs to be, breaks in between while you're preparing for an exam. You can't be working 24 hours because that's simply going to turn you mad when you have your academics also going on side by side, right? So what did you do in your free time? How did you pass your free time? Hobbies maybe, or what did you do in your leisure time?
Ma'am, I was in a competitive esports team for quite some time.
Okay.
So like 4 5 hours of my day used to go in just gaming, and then I also beatbox for like just like even studying. I beatbox quite for some time, and my mother is quite annoyed by it, but I still do it. And yeah, and then I sketch sometimes, but that's all.
Okay, right. So you do agree that there needs to be like some breaks in between while you are aggressively practicing or trying to do something, preparing for something. Okay. So my another next, like I feel whenever you're preparing for any competitive exam, you need to have a sense of motivation for you, like something that keeps you going, because that is something that helps you get up every morning and give you 100% towards the goal that you are aiming for, right? So what, according to you, or what is or was maybe the source of motivation for you in your life, something that kept you going?
Pay package would be one reason, which is why people just pursue management studies a lot,
Right.
and not any other reason which comes to my mind. Only pay package.
So it's basically money, money, money for you. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's quite an honest answer. I don't come across people telling you straightforward कि मैं तो पैसे के लिए, like I'm working for money. That's what it's all about. Okay, great. So I think you have also appeared for the PI for IIM Rohtak, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, ma'am.
JIPMAT, you don't have a PI round. For the viewers who are not aware about it, after you have appeared for your IPMAT exam, there is a PI round that follows after it, and then your scores for the way that you've performed in your PI, and then your aptitude test. Both of these scores are compiled together, and then your overall result is out. So for JIPMAT, you don't have any PI rounds. However, for IPMAT, you do have a PI round. So that's what I'm talking about. So for IIM Rohtak, how was your experience appearing for the PI round, Anurag?
I had two interview panelists. Like my interview was in the early morning, somewhere like 9:30 a.m. ish. And I had two panelists. One panelist was a middle-aged was a man who was aged like 40 to 50, and the other panelist was a female who was aged 30 to 40.
Okay.
The first panelist didn't talk to me, didn't talk during the interview much. He was just there to analyze. And the second interviewer was the one who conversed with me and progressed and was the one who was progressing the interview.
Okay.
So it was very chill. Like at first they asked me whether I was from science or commerce, and funnily I'm from none of these. I'm from humanities, so that I could just crack a quick joke about it, which was taken lightheartedly by them.
Okay.
And then as they weren't prepared for a humanities student, that's what I would like to think. They didn't ask me much questions of my stream, like just basic questions from geography, from my class ninth and 10th, which was like basic geography which we have been taught in school. And then they asked me questions of probability in mathematics, two questions of probability which I really didn't want to happen because my probability is on the weaker side.
Okay.
And then they asked me questions from about my home state, which HitBullsEye did brief me about in during the mock PI sessions, that you will be asked such questions about your home city and your home state, which they did. And but I wasn't asked any HR questions, which is quite typical of IIM Rohtak interviews.
Okay. All right. So now when you were aware that, okay, that I'm supposed to appear for an interview, and I presume that it is your first interview in your entire life, right? That's the first interview that you appeared for, am I right?
No, ma'am. I appeared for my SSB as well in March.
Right. Right. So it was second interview. Yeah.
Yes.
So what preparations or what were the guidelines that you followed while you were preparing for the PI round?
So one mistake which I did was just focusing, giving a lot of time for my past decades, and not and actually going to the advanced part of my past decades and not starting from the basics. That this is one mistake which I did do while preparing for my interview, and uh, and not focusing, even though I wasn't asked topics on current affairs and I wasn't asked to speak about current affairs, but I still didn't focus on that much. And it is one topic which is very important. I only focused on the brief topics, just various topics which came to my feed, and then I just focused on that. But my current affairs was also a bit on the weaker side. So this is what I would like to advise to people who are appearing for other interviews, that current affairs is the most important. And if you want to do your past records, then you have to start from the basics and then go to the advanced part. Just going to the advanced part, if you know only the advanced part of your academics and not the basic, then they will just grill you like crazy on that.
So it's basically like whenever you're coming across a topic on current affairs, let's say that we're talking about the war, the Russia-Ukraine war. So if you're studying about it, just go a little deep about it. Start, a little deeper knowledge about the concept that is there in the current affairs. That will help you. Like for example, if you're studying about a state, if you talk about the Indian politics with the if you're reading about a state, you might as well see when the state was formed. So just go a little deeper in the historic way, just so that you have an entire knowledge about the concept, right? That is how you can prepare for current affairs. And that way, your
Yes,
static
ma'am.
GK as well as your current GK, both of them are being prepared simultaneously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also, Anurag, I feel for these the interviews that are conducted by IIMs, I feel that you need to be very wise about the kind of words that you choose, or like for example, the kind of hobbies that you are saying, or anything at all, because they kind of pick that up and then grill you on the same topic, right? So you need to be very wise about the kind of words that you're choosing, right?
Yes, ma'am. As the words which I'll be using in my interview will be what direct the interview process entirely. So, for example, I have an hobby of it's not my actual hobby, but if I have an hobby of what do you say, like reading about all the aeroplanes and stuff and all the military tanks and stuff like that. So I need to have more detailed knowledge about it because they will ask me questions on such topic. And if I suppose give a word which is a very complex word and you don't come in everyday usage of that word, they'll just go they'll grill you more based on that single word only which you have just said. So you have to be very careful
Yeah.
uh, as it will direct your whole interview.
So you just can't show off about something just because you've heard about it. You need to have a in-depth knowledge about it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so apart from what you have just said, is there anything else, any other suggestions that you'd want to give to our young viewers who are IPM aspirants, maybe? Any for the PI round, basically, if I talk about.
For the PR round, as I said, for the past acads, focus on your basics first, and then on the advanced topics of your curriculum. As people generally start from studying like right from the 11th and 12th. While this does work for students who are from commerce and science, as the interview panelists are basically accustomed to interviewing these types of students.
Right.
But for students like me, who are of humanities, and the panelists are not that used to interviewing students of humanities, the basics of my academics is which is what's of the most importance.
Right. So whatever stream that you're coming for, you need to have academic knowledge as well, since you can get questions from your academic background as well. Whether you're from commerce, you might get a question on Indian economy, right? Or something from business studies. And if you're from, let's say, non-medical, you might get some physics questions. So you need to be well prepared about it. Get your basic concepts clear, as simple as that, right? Okay.
Yes.
So what factors do you think Anurag, worked in your favor that you were able to qualify all of these three exams? Because it is a very rare scenario. It does not happen with a lot of people to get such good percentile, right? In all the three exams, that is your Rohtak also, Indore also, and Chip Math also. So what factors do you think worked in your favor that you were able to accomplish this great achievement, which I quite honestly feel is something very extraordinary. Not a lot of people are able to accomplish what you've accomplished in such a young age. Look at you blushing, right? So what factors do you think worked in your favor?
Ma'am, the first factor would be as a student, I'm not very attentive student, and so I was very grateful to my mother for always keeping me online.
Right.
And then second would be that for while preparing, I had like such good quality material of studies at my disposal. The material from HitBullsEye and all the faculties who were able to clear my doubts. So this is what helped me very substantially for my preparation process. And also, as I mentioned earlier, that I had appeared for NDA. That gave me an actual experience of appearing for an exam in a center and the actual stress of an exam in a test center, which even if you solve like hundreds or 200s of mocks, you will still not get that experience if you haven't appeared for any test at a center. So one thing which I would also would like to suggest to people is that even if you are not very enthusiastic about the armed forces or the NDA, still you must appear for that exam because it happens 2 times a year. Like one is usually held in September, and then the same on something like that. Always before your IPM exams. So it will give you sort of experience of appearing for exams and the actual and on you or or you're not anxious while you prepare these tests, and it will improve.
Okay. Right. So now the exams that you appeared for, IPMAT and ChipMat, which category, Anurag, would you put them in? Were they easy to moderate or moderate to difficult? Which category were your exams, the aptitude exams?
This year's exams were easy to moderate. Like both the exams were on the easier side, and only some questions were on the moderate side. But this also meant that the cutoffs of this year were higher than the previous year. Like the cutoffs jumped by 60 marks, 60 to 70 marks than the previous years.
Okay. All right, right. So it's basically a little bit of luck also that works in your favor, right? The kind of question paper that you might get, it's a little bit of that as well. But then, of course, you cannot compensate or say that okay, I might not work hard because I depend on my luck. But it also you need to put in your entire effort whenever you're preparing for such exams. Okay, right. So now that you are enrolled with IIM both there. So, Anurag, why did you choose IIM Bodh Gaya over Rohtak? Any specific reason?
My father being in the armed forces, the current location of that IM is what is beneficial for me, as even during the holidays I would be able to easily go to where my parents are. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the main benefit of going into IIM Bodh Gaya, and also the fact that I have got two three friends which I know who are in IIM Bodh Gaya, and so I'll be getting lots of in-depth knowledge which is not easily available on the internet about the college and the course in particular.
Okay. All right. So now that we're talking about your family, you're talking about your father being posted near that. So what was your family's reaction when they came to know that you have qualified all of these three exams and that you have done really well? What was your family's reaction?
Uh, I will start from NCH and JE as that came in first.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not at all expecting that result because in pursuit of IPM and IPM, I didn't even check the cutoffs for NCHM. So so I used to just give my test papers post to my elder brother who was from IIM Hyderabad, and he used to push me to get like a score of 700 out of 800 out in this exam. So when
Right.
I came from that exam, I was like, I didn't the exam didn't actually go that well because of the knowledge I had, and I thought it's like I at least I should be able to get ISM Bhopal. But when the result came, I was actually sleepy. But then I saw the result and I saw that number is 32. I was my I just woke instantly, and the sleep just vanished.
Right.
And for the Bodh Gaya exam, as I had gotten percentile 98.25 or a AIR of
Mm-hmm.
92. I knew that I wouldn't be able to get Bodh Gaya in the first round, but I was confident that I'll be able to get
Right.
that in the first wait list, which I did. So they were very happy and ecstatic about my result.
Right, right. Any parent would be, it's a proud moment for them, and I do want to congratulate them, that they have gotten such hardworking and a bright. I mean, I quite honestly feel that when you have just recently, I think you started preparing for it in your 11th standard itself. Like you had a little bit of clarity. So it's so good to see people who are so clear about what they want from their life at such a young age. It's really amazing. I mean, I've seen people who still in their graduation are still not able to figure out what they want to do with their life or where they want to proceed with it. But then to have a clarity from a very young age, it's commendable. It's really nice, right? So another point that I would want to add for all the people out there who are preparing for these competitive exams, that is for IPM or for that matter any other competitive exam that you're preparing for at the UG level, make sure that you are giving, like he said, as many marks. Like for him, NDA worked because he had appeared for that exam before, but not everybody has the same kind of circumstance. So make sure that you're appearing for a lot of mocks, you're giving a lot of questions or solving such question papers that would give you a same kind of a feeling, because the exam is going to be CBT, that is, it is going to be a computer-based test. So make sure that you're appearing for these exams in an online format, in an online mode, so that you are more comfortable with the exam pattern and how you're going to appear for it on the D day, on the exam date. It will be more comfortable for you. So just keep that in mind and work on it accordingly. Okay, so now that you are at IIM Bodh Gaya, Anurag, so what are your future plans? What are you aiming for now? What is your next goal that you're aiming towards?
For now, I the first 3 year BBA program in IIM Bodh. I'll try to learn as much about the course as I can, and for the 2 year postgraduate program, which is in IIM Bodh, and then finally decide
Mhm.
by getting information from other faculties and my peers there to what I finally want to pursue. As for now, I'm keeping my options open.
Okay, right, right. So what is any which way, what is your end goal? What do you want to be in your life apart from, qualifying for these competitive exams? What is that one aim that you're working towards? Apart from earning money, obviously.
Uh,
Not We've not thought so far as
Ma no, ma'am, I'm just trying to work on my present
Correct.
and then decide on which options I'll get and then decide on my future.
Okay, right. That's amazing, amazing, Anurag. So that was all about the IPM that he has qualified. Any other suggestion, recommendations, the do's and the not to do's, don'ts that you would want to give to our audience before we switch to the hotel management part? Anything else that you'd want to tell our young audience, Anurag?
Even if you have not started your preparation now, what matters your what matters is what you do from today. Like
Right,
even after right after this session, you can start your preparations and and you can follow my strategy if you want, or you can make your own strategy. But
right,
what matters is the efforts which you're putting in right now.
right.
Just thinking about what you haven't achieved is only going to demoralize you further, and then you won't be able to uh, be able to give your best. So just focus on what you have and what you couldn't and not what on you couldn't achieve.
Right, right. So basically, people do think that these competitive exams, whether it is, these exams, the entrance tests, they're a test of your knowledge and your intelligence, which is actually not true. It is a test of your perseverance. How regular are you? How dedicated are you? And, how much of compassion do you have towards what you're aiming for? So don't really get stressed about the entire thing. It is something like which you can very easily achieve if you're putting your heart and soul to what you want to do, right? So that was about IPM. Now talking about the third milestone that he has accomplished is clarify his NCHM JEE exam. So NCHM JEE exam is basically an entrance test to get into the IHMs, that is the Hotel Management Institute, the National Hotel Management Institutes in India. So he has qualified that also. So what was your experience appearing for that exam, NCHM JEE? How was the experience of it?
It was a computer-based test only, and the syllabus of this was quite similar to IPM. If It was actually easier than that of IPM, so my preparation of cons, verbal and logical,
Mhm.
is what I was studying for IPM. It was more than enough for NCHM JE. So it
Mhm.
was quite easy for me. The only hurdle for me was the GK section, where I did have to put in a bit of extra effort, which I didn't really want to give, as I'm very lazy in terms of honing my current affairs. So that was like the only challenge for me. But the exam went smoothly, and it was a very nice experience, and I came out confident after giving the exam.
Okay, so for the people who do not know, NCHMGEE stands for National Council for Hotel Management Joint Entrance Exam. That is the full form of the exam. So, what are the different sections that you get, Anurag? If you could just apprise our audience a little bit about it. Are you aware? Do you still remember the kind of the sections that you get for the exam?
Yes, ma'am. As I already said, you have the quant section,
Mm-hmm.
where I actually don't remember the exact question breaker, but it is very easily available on the net, as it's the same throughout the years.
Right.
And then there's the logical section,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the GK section, and then there's a verbal section. As much as I remember, there are 30 questions, as there are a total of 200 questions, 4 marks for your correct answer, and one negative mark for your wrong answer. There are 30 questions in your GK, and then there are 50. I guess there are 50 questions in your English,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, something like that only. I don't remember it very clearly,
Of course.
but it's something like this.
Okay, so where did you get your inclination towards the hospitality field? Uh, I mean, was it a backup plan for you while you were preparing for your management, or was it something that you were genuinely invested and interested in?
I wanted to pursue hotel management because my end goal was always giving CAT for my management studies.
Mhm.
But for that, I felt like I didn't want to appear for BBA or BA honors, and thought that as my brother is a graduate of Indian Institute of Hotel Management, Hyderabad. So did have quite some exposure on this in this field, and felt like a professional degree of hotel management, and also be gaining some experience on management studies, even as it's a part of the curriculum.
Right.
So I thought that I'll first give hotel management and then appear for CAT. So this was my early plan.
Okay, right. So what we learned from this, guys, is that while you have a plan A, you need to, while you're working on plan A, you need to have a plan B also working for you side by side. Yeah, you should have a couple of options open for you while you're working on one strategy. That is how uh, a smart person would work or would think towards certain things, right? So basically, I always tell this to my students whenever I have a session. I will always tell them that, irrespective of what competitive exam that you're appearing for, whether it is at a UG level or at a PG level, on a whole, the syllabus for all of the exams is pretty much the same. You have maths, you have reasoning, you have English, and all of these rounds or all of these aptitude tests are followed by an interview, right? So you can prepare for all of those exams at the same time. Like, for example, if I talk about IPM, I don't think a lot of people are aware about the course being offered at a UG level. Like, he himself came to know about it from some other place, like when he was in conversation with other people, right? So there is a lack of, I feel, information, lack of awareness amongst people. Half of the people are not really aware about as to what they want to do after their 12th standard. But I feel that you need to be in connection, or talking to people, relating to people who are there, who are of the same standards as you are. That means who are, let's say, are appearing for their board exams or something, so that you come to know about a lot of things. So awareness comes from communicating, from being staying connected to people. So IPM exam, as I said, and not a lot of people are aware about it, and it is such a golden opportunity for you. Like I said in the previous session also, which we had for the UGs, the UG level exam, is that when you are appearing for CAT exam after you have completed your graduation, the amount of competition automatically increases. If I talk about the CAT exam, right? So the number of people who are appearing for it, you have people coming in from non-medical also, from arts also, from commerce also. So the people are coming up from different branches, different forms of graduation. So competition automatically increases. But when you are appearing for exam like IPM at a UG level, automatically you have lesser amount of competition. A lot of people are not aware about it. B, any which way, there's comparatively lesser amount of competition. So you need to be very aware about things happening around you. Talk to people about it, right? And most importantly, set a goal as towards which you want to put your heart and soul and work towards the thing. And also, of course, have a plan B whenever you are working towards plan A. Have a backup for everything. That's really, really important to strategic uh, implication towards your career. Right, Anurag? Anything that you'd want to add?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, but I did see a question in the chat. This where this person was asking the GK curriculum for NCHM.
Yeah.
They were asking like the how to cover that curriculum. Is it should I just look at the syllabus of 6 to 12 months or something? What I would suggest is, if your exam is on April, for example, your exam is on April 2023. So start preparing for current affairs since April 2022, but leave the current affairs portion of March and April, as your paper is set way before that. So it is not necessary.
Okay. Okay, so there's somebody saying, I want to see how to prepare yourself. Basically, the person is trying to ask, how do you balance your academics while you're preparing for the entrance? So that, I think you've already answered. Anurag, would you want to repeat your answer towards
Yes,
how do you?
yes, ma'am, for sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
So as my all my schooling was online, and it was only entirely dependent on me for how much time I have to study, as I didn't have pressure of going to school. So my study hours were not fixed, but what was fixed was the ratio at which I'll balance my academics to my entrance exam, which was 30% academics and 70% entrance exam syllabus.
Right. So basically, like we said in the very beginning, everybody has a different strategy. It is different for different people. For some people, like if I talk about myself, when I consider myself to be somebody who takes a longer period of time to get uh, understanding of a concept. That is, it might be different for some other people. So you actually cannot uh, copy somebody's style. It's as simple as that. You need to figure it out how it works for you. Right. So there are certain people who can at a stretch study for 7-8 hours and does not really bother them. But if I talk about myself, I cannot study for that long period of time. I need to have breaks in between. So you need to figure out a timetable that might work for you. Right. And that is how it is. You can strike a balance between both of these things. So there are a lot of people who are there from your group. I believe, Anurag, they are here to support you, right? Okay. So let me see if we have any other question.
There's this one question. We have offline schools with offline tuitions for almost 3 years. Any tips of managing time with that?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that because the factors which affect your cutoffs is there are many factors which affects your cutoffs. As it was as all our schooling was online and we had lots of time on our hands to get to know more about courses and to prepare for many courses. It also influenced the cutoffs and the other cutoffs were very high. But for you, as your offline schools have started with offline tuitions, and your tuitions last for 3 hours or something, and your school lasts for about 8 hours, right? So, so whatever time you can have for your exams. For example, when I had my offline schooling, and whenever I had free time, I always had my and always had a book of either basic maths or logical reasoning, which I would use to prepare if in my free time. Other than that, this will also affect the cutoffs, and the cutoffs will be a bit low because of all the current events which are happening. So you don't need to worry about it that much. You just have to prepare and give the best you can.
Okay, so here is Sia. She's asking, what if you don't know something they asked in PI? How should we reply? Like they've asked a question that you're not really aware about. So how do you handle such situation, Anurag?
इसका बहुत ही घिसा पिटा रिप्लाई रहता है कि वो you just have to just copy paste for every question which you possibly can, which is I don't know the answer of this question currently, ma'am. I will definitely look it up later. Even if you wouldn't look it up later on, but you do have to say this, which will impress them quite a bit.
It's basically about being confident. Even if you don't know the answer, just don't let it show on your face that "Arey, mujhe nahi aata." You need to be really confident about it. Confidence is the key. Like the person that we had here last time, even he was not aware about a lot of questions, that were being asked in PI. So you need to showcase yourself like it's nothing that is bothering me and I'm really cool about it, and just kind of manipulate the answer in your own way. That is how you do, because of course you cannot know all the answers. Like if they're asking you something from static GK, for that matter, it's not a current GK but a static GK, so you cannot know all the answers, but then you should know the skill of handling the question, basically, right, Anurag?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's see if you have any other questions. So there's somebody saying, yeah, legit, don't study all day. You need to take breaks and have a balance in life. That's actually right. That's how it works. Like we said, and initially also we were discussing, Anurag, like you don't have to study all the time. You need to have some free time. Like, for example, Anurag is all about gaming. So you can see the result of his gaming here in the chat box, right? So you need to have something that you are interested in, that you can invest the time in, that you enjoy doing, basically having breaks in between. There's nobody in the entire world who studies 24 hours, and studying all the time. Everybody says, but nobody's studying, right, Anurag? That's the trick, how you say, I remember her time, but then you're not actually doing it. You're just studying for 2 to 3 hours. So don't listen a lot to whatever other person is saying. You need to use your own brain also, and then work on it accordingly, right? Okay, and what I am not scoring good marks in mock tests available. Yeah, so we were having this discussion with Anurag also, that the kind of questions that are being provided to you, they are of different levels. Talk about HitBullsEye because that's what CI is talking about, the kind of questions that you get from HitBullsEye. So basically, we try to prepare a student for all the type of questions that you might get, right? I mean, I quite honestly feel that you should be prepared about the worst day rather than for the best day, right? So we here at HitBullsEye try to prepare you for the worst kind of questions, also the difficult kind of questions also. So we have a test series varying from easy to difficult, which I think Anurag would also agree, right? That
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to add something on this.
yeah.
Uh, for example, like during the last 2 3 months before my exams, what I used to do was I just left my studies entirely, and I only used to solve mocks provided by HitBullsEye. So if I'm scoring low on mocks, what I would do is like I would just select the particular questions which I could not attempt, or whose answer I attempted wrong. And then I used to have a copy for different subjects: mathematics, logical, and English. So, and in each and every book, I used to just write that whole question and then the solution, and then the whole solution for that question. And this is how I created like a very my own booklet of my own doubts and various difficult topics and tricky questions. And then before my exams, I only reviewed that and then gave my exam. I didn't go through any formulas or anything like that. And how do you prepare for English comprehension and vocab session? Like, it's a real vast area with absolutely no formulas and tricks, any tips. So what I would like, I'm not a very good person to answer this, but but still, what's the model way of doing that? Is reading first of all. This will also help in your personal interviews as it will increase your fluency in English. Reading like newspaper or any article or any book, just reading it loud in front of a mirror, your family would say like, "What are you doing?" or "Don't like, what is this disturbance and all?" But they just have to deal with it then, yeah, because it's for your preparation only. And then second would be what I used to do was for example, whenever I used to like read a novel once in a blue moon, I used to also have a dictionary with me, and like just from a dictionary only, because whenever you're searching words in a dictionary, you'll also come across few other words
Right.
while finding for your desired word.
Right.
And next would be cue cards, and also the material provided in HitBullsEye is more than enough.
Mhm.
But if you want to give more efforts, then you can also follow the tips which I've given you.
Right, right. So Sia here has a lot of questions. I think she's the one who's posted the most amount of questions. Right. So in which month will our batch have IP exams? Okay. Any
IP Math. Your Our IP Math exams were delayed by quite a lot, but it is generally after your board exams. Yeah, but like 15, 20 days after your board exams is when your IP Math exams are conducted.
it's in the first 6 months of every year, right? It can be from April to July, August. I think that is the duration for these exams. Any special genre on book reading, as I only have keen interest in rom-coms? Okay, so basically you can read anything, Sia. It does not have to be a specific genre. आपको सिर्फ English पढ़नी है. वो चाहे आप magazines में पढ़िए, newspaper में पढ़िए, anything that interests you at the same time, you're able to retain. It is not just about reading, it is about retaining also. आपको याद भी रहना चाहिए आप क्या याद करें. So as he said, there are a lot of ways in which you can retain vocabulary for a longer period of time. So it does not specifically have to be any genre. But yes, as you elevate, as you become expert in reading, I would suggest that you should switch more towards articles, newspapers, because that will give you information from different subjects. Like if I talk about a novel, if I let's say talk about Harry Potter, so it's a fiction, so it is giving you information about just one particular area. But on the other hand, if you're reading a magazine or a newspaper, so therein you're getting information, let's say from the sports section also, right, from political section also, from international section also. So it will help you in your PI rounds also later, because you're going to it is of course going to stimulate your current knowledge also, and also gives you information about different subjects. That is something that you can follow.
Ma'am, there's this one question. how can we overcome our hesitation while if we were in an interview, we might get stuck while answering and might also mince our words. So to overcome this, like in my case, my mother used to just I used to give her some questions, or she used to make up her own questions and then ask me, and then record that whole session. Uh, or also one more thing which you can do is just prepare a topic for yourself and in front of your camera, as your interviews might not be online this year, but still like in front of your camera, just speak for the topic for like 1 to 2 minutes, or even like if you want, then up to 5 minutes, and then review that, and then correct yourself wherever necessary, as this is a very time taking process. You can even start from now. Or if you are like I haven't even cleared my written yet, so why should I prepare for my interviews, as this is the mentality which I had as myself. So then when you eventually do clear your written exams and appear for an interview, you're given 20 days, 15 to 20 days. So that is enough. That is ample time to improve your fluency in English.
Yeah, that's rightly said. And there's somebody asking, would I be allowed to take CAT in 3 years of IPM? So basically, what happens with IP MAT, or for that matter, JIP MAT, is that every IIM has this condition that you need to maintain certain credit scores for the first 3 years of your course. Only when you've maintained those credit scores will you be promoted to the PG program. That means only then will you be able to pursue your masters. If you're not able to maintain that credit scores in the first 3 years, you will just be given a graduation degree, and then you will have to appear for CAT or any other way to get your to get your post graduation degree in management. So yes, if you have gotten yourself enrolled in this program, you have a freedom. After 3 years, you can take just your graduation degree and then appear for CAT and switch to a better IIM, if that is something. Like if you're somebody who's not wanting to do it from a baby IIM like Bodhgaya, and you want to do it from the top or older ones, ABC, of course you can do that. That is an option that you have. That is, I think, pretty much the plan of Anurag also. He would want to switch to better IIM after he has completed his 3 years. That means his graduation with Bodhgaya. So that is absolutely something that you can do.
I have a command over reasoning and not much on English. Should I leave questions while attempting the exams, and how much marks are out to be left? Or this can be taken as negative marking does exist? I would not encourage you to take risk, as in English, even I have not taken that much risk. Like if I didn't know the answer at a glance, I used to just leave it for review and try to attempt that question later, as time is of utmost importance and you don't want to be left just wasting your time more than even 30 seconds on a question if you don't know the answer of it. So what I would suggest you is, even for example, in my case, in all the exams, like if in English I'm getting 50 questions, I have left 10 to 15 questions. This is what I've done. But the amount of questions I've attempted, I was of utmost surety that I will get at least 90% accuracy in those topics. And also for cutoffs, try to increase your overall cutoffs, as in exams except I am in the all these exams focus on your overall cutoffs and not your sectional cutoffs. But for IIM Indore specifically, you have to focus on your sectional cutoffs as well. So if you are focusing more on your IIM Indore, you do have to focus on your verbal ability as well, as the cutoff for verbal ability this year was very high.
Okay, so CS also congratulating you, striking a balance between your esports and your studying for 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so for IIM Ahmedabad, is there any other exam? You have a PG program, that is, you need to appear for CAT. So you only have IPM for the IIMs that I've named, that is Ranchi, Rohtak, Indore, Jammu, and Bodh Gaya. So IPM or the IP MAT and JIP MAT are only available for these IIMs. For other IIMs, there is no graduation program. There's only post-graduation program, and for that you need to appear for CAT. So you can do if you're somebody who's aiming for Ahmedabad, for example, so you can do your graduation from any recognized institute, and then you can appear for CAT. and then get into IIM Ahmedabad. That is the only procedure. So they only offer you post-graduation programs apart from these 5 IIMs that I've just named, right? I think that is pretty much it. Do we have any other new questions? So do we have anything else, guys? Anything that you want to ask? Okay, so I think that is pretty much it. Anurag, I don't think we're getting any new questions, right?
Yes.
So any parting words that you'd want to give to your extremely active audience in the chat box, or of course for the other people who are preparing for the exam? So any parting words that you'd want to, any concluding words, any motivation that you'd want to give out?
The parting words which I would want to give is uh, for your session for your exam, it doesn't matter what you have done until now. What you have started doing from today onwards, or from even now, is what matters. Is what will affect your future. So if you fret about your past mistakes, it will actually lead to your own downfall. I'm very serious about it, and I will not mince my words here. And so you just have to focus on your present, and then complete your curriculum and your topics just step by step, and just to focus on your present, and just clearing up goals for now, which will help in your goal. Thank you.
Right. So
There's this question about GIPMAT syllabus.
yeah, you can answer it, no problem.
For GIPMAT, your maths will be like till 8th, and also some topics from 10th. Like it isn't anything new which you'll encounter. You would need a bit extra help in logical reasoning, even though logical reasoning as a topic, which will seem very easy at first, but if you haven't practiced it enough, it is very time consuming. And so you have to give special notice for you have to give special notice to logical reasoning as well. And for maths, like even solving 10 to 15 questions a day is enough of different topics. uh, then the books I would recommend for, especially for GIPMAT, is one second. I've written the books here. One is the R.S. Agarwal Quantitative Aptitude. It is like the most basic book for any bank PO exams, for giving any hotel management exams, and even for GIPMAT. It's a very detailed book, and it covers like almost, if not all, the questions. I would say it covers about 99% of the questions which will come in GIPMAT. But as the book is as the syllabus of that book is very vast, what I would suggest is just solve one question and skip 6 questions in between for solving the book once, as it would reduce your time, and then you can come back to it later. Then for logical, and I would suggest Arun Sharma's logical reasoning for CAT. You can like even solving till LOD 1 is sufficient. But if you do want to test your knowledge, you can go to LOD 2. For even maths, you can also refer to Arun Sharma's mathematics. But the problem with Arun Sharma's mathematics is the calculation is very tough. So you would have to refer to a calculator just for solving Arun Sharma's mathematics. But it is amount of calculations is not what is required in your exams. But just to clear your basic concepts, Arun Sharma is good. And then there are mocks from HitBullsEye and all the materials given, which will help you increase your efficiency, and which will help in reducing your time per question, and will help you just uh, di- leaving out questions at a glance, which will give you enough experience.
Okay,
Book
right.
for IPMAT, same as JIPMAT. So for IPMAT Indore, the books are for IPMAT Indore, the syllabus is tough as compared to IPMAT Rohtak and JIPMAT. As in IPMAT Indore, you're also getting topics from class 11th and 12th. So it would be the resources provided from HitBullsEye is sufficient enough. But if you want to go for like if you want to just if you have like completed all the material and still feel like you have like there's something left, then you can always refer to Arun Sharma's Arun Sharma's mathematics. LOD1, LOD2 is sufficient, and HitBullsEye's material is already enough, is what I would say.
All right. So if we have any other questions, we'll direct it to the Telegram group, right? And Anurag will be more than happy to help you out there. So Anurag, thank you so much for joining with us today. It's been a pleasure. You are our own star, our pride at HitBullsEye. Thank you so much for taking out your time and being with us today. For the people who have any other queries, like I said, we have a Telegram group where we have open discussions taking place all the time. So you are more than welcome to join us there, and we can answer more of your queries there, right? And I think that is pretty much it. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope today's session was useful to you, that you were able to engross some information, some valuable concepts and content from our conversation today. And Anurag here is more than happy to help you out anytime. Right. So thank you so much, Anurag. Thank you so much for being with us today. I look forward to meet you really soon. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Since then, till then, bye bye. Have a good day. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night and have a good weekend. Bye bye.